Welcome back. You're watching Closing Trades here on ET Now. And joining us at this point is Narendra Solanki. He's the head fundamental research investment services at Anand Rathi Shares and Stockbrokers. Narendra, you have the tendency of tracking IPO markets quite closely. Firstly, welcome. Wishing a very good afternoon. Some big movers within IPO markets. The first conversation that I want to have with you is with regard to groww. There's just so much debate around the fact that groww's market cap has breached 1 lakh crore. But if we were just to contextualize this, zoom out a little bit, it trades at 25 times its top line, or over 25 times its top line, maybe 27 times its top line, if I've done the math right. And I'm talking about trailing 12 months. Do you believe justifiable?
Yeah, good afternoon. Definitely, the kind of performance we have seen, especially after post-listing, we have seen a lot of run-up happening in a lot of different IPOs, wherein the valuation already have been at premium. So I think uh, as far as the overall view is concerned, the valuations definitely are very rich, even at this point in time. And it would take a lot of a few quarters to actually see how the numbers pan up and how new client additions and how the overall business performs for the company and how the deliverables actually falls in the place for the company in medium to long term. Then only I think we could be sufficiently be taking a call. But right now, the valuations are definitely rich. And during the IPO also, we already had a similar view that the valuations are premium and investors who are only here for a long-term haul should only apply for the IPO.
Long term, yes, I would agree, or rather, I would understand where you are coming from. But with regard to groww in particular, now this 91% return since the day of listing, do you believe it's overdone, or do you believe investors, in terms of an actionable, should exit at this point from a fundamental perspective? Does that make sense, or does that not? What's your target price?
See, I think it's an individual call for investors to make,
Sure.
but if you see the overall landscape, the Indian equity investment as a whole, as a segment, the penetration is very low. So definitely the tailwinds are there for the sector. And there's a lot of room to grow, not even for any particular company, but as a sector as a whole. So definitely the triggers and factors are present. And the government is also intensifying efforts in order to increase awareness of investing in equities and broader increase in investment share of investments in household savings, etc. So the tailwinds are there, but I think it's for medium to long term perspective, and that could only be justified. But right now, I think the valuations have run up ahead of time in comparison with the fundamentals.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to get to. Have valuations run up, and is it justifiable or not? Yeah, I think that gives a good sense. Let's also talk about the new kid on the block, Fizik Swala. Narendra, what's your view on that one? It's kind of muted in terms of the interest in the IPO itself, but you look at the kind of rally that the stock has seen on opening day.
Yeah, definitely. The listing has been very good, and it was above expectations of the markets. Again, as far as overall segment is concerned, we are positive on the segment. But right now, again, here as well, we had a long-term subscribe rating for the IPO because of the valuation concerns. And post-listing, I think again the valuations have further become pricier.
Okay. Welcome back, and there were plenty of blocks on the line today morning, and let me just talk about a couple of them. Let's start off with Paytm, where there are a whole host of sellers, including Kunal. In just a minute, Narendra, do you have a view with regard to GMR Airports? Do you by any chance track this one?
No, we do not have any recommendation on the stock right now.
How do you, Narendra, let me tilt the question differently. How do you therefore play the air travel play in India? How do you play that, and how best do you think one should play that?
I think definitely the sector has been showing good growth in terms of volumes. And as we have also seen the kind of numbers which have been reported by the leading operator, Interglobe Aviation. So now I think after the run-up in the airlines, it's now the market is focusing more on the infrastructure providers like airports, as we see more and more airports opening up in the country. And the government is also very much keen on opening airports, especially focusing on tier two cities. And gradually, I think in medium to long term, the airports would also see the impact of positive impact of increasing volumes and passenger volumes across the country as the economy picks up. So I think it's now become a derivative play on the overall airline sector through the airports for the markets right now.
Okay, so Interglobe, is that the only way you'd play?
Yeah, primarily the Interglobe, and post that, I think airports can also be looked at.
Right, and do you believe that in Interglobe there's enough room for safety in terms of valuations? It trades at 45 times, certainly not cheap.
Yeah, definitely not cheap, but the kind of monopolistic exposure it brings, and the kind of growth, especially it has started its overseas operations. So there's huge runway of growth for its overseas operations. So that has to be seen. And I think the volatility which it has shown in the recent results, it should be over. It should be over, and I think the stability in the overall profit should return to the company in medium to long term. So definitely being the largest player and the kind of volume growth which we are seeing in the airline sector, there is still some room left for the growth in the sector.
Kunal, you have a technical view on this one, on GMR airports in particular?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting chart. Just looking at the longer term structure for the stock, I think it's broken past about the previous multi-year height made in 2023-24 at 103, 104 levels. Long term wise, yeah, I think the stock looks very attractive, and we've seen historically that when stocks have capacity to break past about the previous lifetime highs after almost a bunch of say 12 months to 18 months, that generally indicates that we are looking at a build up of a new trend for the stock price. But then I was looking at the intraday charts for GMR reports, and it looks like that maybe the stock at levels of 104, 105 has gone into a little bit of an overbought territory. So short term wise, say over the next couple of days, slight bit of cool off, slight bit of correction, but the long term structure looks extremely attractive, especially with today's breakout of a major multi-year high for GMR airports.
Okay, all right. So that's with regard to GMR airports. Aditya Arora, founder and multi-asset research analyst at adleytech.in is joining us. Aditya, been a while since we interacted. Good having you here. Give me a sense. We're talking about air travel at this point. Interglobe, would that at all feature on your list? What are levels you're looking for? Give us a sense.
Very good afternoon to you and to everyone. I think it's calmed in the market. We are seeing stock specific action, and clearly Interglobe Aviation stands out given that it's down about 2% or 2% today. But it has been a consolidation for a long time. Almost since last 1 or 2 months, the stock has been consolidating. So the breakout for the counter is evident at 6,000 odd levels, where there are lots of call writers seen over there. So right now the stock is in consolidation phase. One should be bullish once the stock breaks above 6,000 level. There's also a gap around those levels. So two positive triggers for the counter above 6,000 odd levels. Currently, it's a neutral candidate.
Okay, neutral with regard to charts on Interglobe. What we'll do is we'll slip into a very short break. On the other side, there's one other stock which is doing fairly well for itself. PNB Housing from the broader market pack. It's got an upgrade on its ratings. Stock was up in trade. We've seen a bit of a cool off on the stock price. We'll discuss this on the other side of this very short break. Stay with us. Okay, we continue conversation with all three of our guests. This is Closing Trades on ET Now. Aditya Arora. Aditya, let me talk to you about PSU banks versus private banks, and it's obviously it's an everlasting debate as to what one should play. But give us your take. On what side of the fence do you sit on? What do you like more?
So Harsh, if you would have asked me about 1 month back, then I would have said PSU banks.
Okay.
But today the juice is more on the private sector side because lots of public sector bank have done quite well, but private sector bank meanwhile consolidated, built it their base, and now most of them are showing signs of breakout. One of the biggest candidates in private sector bank was ICICI Bank. In the time when the bank nifty underperformed, it was the ICICI Bank which was dragging the index. But now, as we see, ICICI Bank is inching higher. Bank Nifty is also attempting a higher high, and in fact, it's sitting at all-time high. So I think this is one of the candidates which is showing the clear picture of the index, Bank Nifty. So as ICICI Bank is showing good signs on the chart, I think the bank nifty index looks good, the nifty private bank basket looks good, and I think other candidates also, like yesterday Kotak Bank was doing well. Today Axis Bank is up about 1.5 to 2%, that is leading the pack. So I think my conviction is on private sector side, and I think there's quite a juice left on this index. Currently the index is trading at 28,500. I'm expecting a target of 29,000 to 30,000 on Nifty private bank space.
Wow. Okay. So, all right. So that's the take with regard to private versus PSU. What's your take, Narendra, on that?
Yeah, definitely. We have been positive for PSU banks for many quarters. And as far as our view is that, as far as re-rating is concerned, broadly, the re-rating play has happened, wherein we have seen on an average PSU banks, which used to trade at point 0.5, point 0.6 book values, have been trading at around 1 to 1.2 book values. And for a larger PSU banks like SBI, which has been trading at point 0.8, point 0.9, is now trading more than 1.5 times, around 2 times book value. So the larger re-rating catch-up has happened, and now it is all based on how the things improve from here on, especially how the ROAs tend to stabilize and gradually inches up. Now, coming to going ahead scenario, we are still more tilted towards PSUs because there is still some room left for performance improvement in terms of our ROAs improving a few bips more there in comparison with the private banks. And I think the private bank should still, we should see some flattish performance for a quarter or so. But yeah, broadly, both are at par with some improvement still left for some PSU banks as well.
Okay, that's the fundamental take. Now, Kunal, I won't ask you PSU versus private because I know exactly where you sit on this count. Let's talk about Shriram Finance. 1 month chart, stock is up 19%. Year to date, stock is up 41%. What next for this one?
Yeah, I think it's done very well for itself. 600 to almost 900, 825 thereabouts where the stock is trading right now. It's been an excellent setup. One of the best performing stock in the entire, I think, the entire NBFC stroke HFC name. The only other name which I can maybe anticipate which has done reasonably well is L&T Finance, which I think is on a YTD basis up almost 95% or maybe 100% right now. So that's the only other name which has done reasonably well. Still looks very strong. The entire space has been very charged up. Whether you look at Chola Finance, Shriram Finance, you look at L&T Finance, etc., these stocks have done very well for themselves. The trend seems to be quite strong over here. Volumes have participated in a very systematic manner. In times when the stock was trending up higher, the volumes were pretty much on the higher side. And when the stock consolidates, the volumes naturally ebb off. That's the pattern which you've seen for Shriram Finance. So it looks to be a strong chart and indicative that minor dips into the stock price have been bought into, and continue to believe that that would be the trend which will persist for the stock.
But today if there's one star performer, that's got to be Bharti.
Yes.
Right? I mean, look at that. Look at the rest of the market and then look at Bharti. It's almost a 2% surge that the stock is sitting on. In fact, not just Bharti, I want to see Indus Tower as well, in which Bharti upped its stake as to what that stock also is doing. Of course, it's nowhere in correlation to what Bharti has done. Indus Towers today as well, lower by about a percent and a half. And that mapped with a Bharti, if you can just fire a dual chart over there, just want to see where, the comparison on both those charts are. And Kunal, come in over here, both Bharti and Indus Tower, and what's your reading?
Yeah, I think Bharti has been exceptional.
Of
The
course,
stock at
yeah.
2100 plus levels. Every time I think when we look at the stock, it shows those classic sense of resilience, performance, on a consistent basis, irrespective of the markets. In the good phases of the markets, like what we've seen in the last few months, traces of index showing consistent outperformance. Bharti Airtel had done reasonably well in even the phases when the indices struggle. For example, a case like today where the Nifty is struggling, that's the point where Bharti Airtel still manages to persist higher and continues to show signs of strength. So that's, I think, a sign of a phenomenal stock. Continues to look strong on the near-term charts, and I would sense that this trend should continue for the stock in the near term as well.
Okay, so that's on Bharti. Narendra, do you have a view, and how would you play Telecom?
Yeah, we have been consistently positive on the Bharti, and it is one of the few stocks which has shown resilience. If you see over a long period of time, and has also performed very well. Now coming to the sector, I think the ARPUs are here to improve for the sector as a whole, and I think those ARPUs to inch towards closer to 300 rupees. And as we have been seeing the news circulating around that another rate hike is due in December or so. I think this would add positive tailwinds to the sector overall. And looking at the kind of shifts happening broadly, especially in terms of data usage and data location, relocation, and the data center play, which the market is looking at. So there is a lot of data consumption growth which is going to happen in India. So medium to long term, the sector still looks very promising.
Okay, looking promising. That's the view on the telecom space. Narendra, I'm guessing it would be ex Vodafone, or does Vodafone also make it to the part of the list from within telecom as a buy?
Right now, we do not have any recommendation on the Vodafone, but definitely it's one of the high risk play, and I think investors should definitely look the kind of risk is involved, especially for the Vodafone, because it has different issues which are unique to it regarding the AGR dues and the resolution of that, which is very uncertain and unpredictable at these point in time. So I think those are the critical factors for any turnaround for Vodafone to happen. But yeah, definitely the sectorally, we are very bullish on the sector.
Okay. The other thing.
SKF India.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I think the stock has been continuously declining. Today also the stock is down about 4%. So it's making lower high, lower low patterns. So it's an avoid or a sell on rice candidate.